Hey, it's Kelly with your A1 Extra presented by Westminster Canterbury. The last of Richmond's Confederate monuments came down this week, and our very own Lyndon German was there to bear witness and talk with officials. Here's Lyndon.
Richmond officials and contractors from Team Henry Enterprises began removal of what is known as the last city-owned Confederate monument in Richmond. That process began in 2020, the city's desire to remove all symbols of the past, essentially. What was challenging about the AP Hill monument was that not only did they have to remove the monument, they also had to remove the general's remains, which were buried underneath the monument in 1891, I believe. So in order to do that, the city had to receive a court order, which they received last week, which essentially granted them permissions to remove the remains and transport them to a gravesite in Culpeper, Virginia. And I spoke to one of the general's indirect descendants, John Hill, who said that they did file an appeal to a Richmond city judge, or the appeals court rather, to retain ownership of the statue. Nevertheless, the statue is being removed, and the general's remains were discovered on Tuesday, where they are being transported now to Culpeper. Because the general's remains were buried underneath, it became like a kind of special case. The city had to undergo a very long legal process in order to get permission from a judge to essentially reinter this person's remains. Once that was cleared, it gave city kind of permission to move what they would discover underneath the statue today. Well, I think Mayor Stoney said it best when he said this is a new chapter. Essentially, it's a bookend to a promise that the city made in 2020 during the protest and the March for Our Lives. It certainly is fulfilled a promise that the city has made to remove some relics of the past. But from the people I spoke to, I think they also understand that there's still more work to do. We can remove Confederate monuments, but the city is still beholden to enact some sort of policies that demonstrate that the city is on the path towards racial justice and equity.
All right, that's it. Make sure you log on to richmond.com for reporting and stories of Richmond and Central Virginia. And remember to follow along on social at RTD News. We'll see you next week for another A1 Extra presented by Westminster Canterbury.